Welcome everyone to our standards-based report card parent education screencast. The goal over the next few minutes is to familiarize parents with the new standards-based report card, the layout and the scoring, and along with some of the benefits of the new standards-based report card design. The rationale behind the change, as we've talked about before, is that the standards-based report card provides specific data-driven information that's useful for parents in understanding what their children know and understand, and is also really helpful for staff as students transition from grade to grade. The standards, as they've been created over the last year and a half, are aligned across grades by subject area. So you'll see a lot of very similar standards being addressed through the grade levels. And they represent the power standards and key skills. They are not inclusive of every standard that's addressed through your child's curriculum, obviously given the length that would require for us to report on. The layout this is phase one of the report card build. We are continuing to refine the presentation portion of it in coordination with Midas, but this particular report card build will be represented in what you see here in front of you. There are two different rubrics. If you look at the screen, I've highlighted, obviously not going to be how it looks when it's printed out, but for the sake of the screencast, there are two different categories. Pro-social approaches to learning, which includes anything that is an academic skill or anything connected with behavior. And there are 4 different ratings from 1 to 4, 4 being consistently demonstrates, 3 being demonstrates most of the time, some of the time for number 2, and a number 1, the student requires ongoing intervention to develop the skill. The second category is the academic performance skills indicator, and this also has 4 categories: M being mastery, P being progressing towards consistent and independent mastery, B indicating the beginning to progress, and N not demonstrating progress toward the grade level standard. And you'll notice when you look at the report card, this is a second grade report card. The first portion of the report card will include, in this case for the second grade, the approaches to learning, personal development, and classroom community skills. We'll be using the pro-social approaches and learning indicators, and that'll be evident when you look at it when it's actually scored which rubric. In the new report card build for the for the second term, we're working on dividing it so that the left side is pro-social skills and the right side is just academics. Once you get below that, you start to get into specific content areas, which will use the academic rubric. As you scroll down, as we will here in a second, the specialists will also be using the pro-social approaches to learning indicators as well. Key notes and important points about the rubrics. The academic performance skills indicator rubric especially does not correspond with the typical report card ABCD reporting. Expected progress for a student in a standard would be P for progressing. The mastery mark would be reserved for students who have demonstrated consistently and have provided the data to indicate that they have mastery of that specific skill. A student who is getting a B for beginning, that means that a student has engaged in the standard and is making progress, but is requiring some additional time and support. Anything that you see in terms of a mark of a B or an N, the teacher likely would be providing more information as to why that is. The standard not assigned note at the bottom here indicates that if you see a standard that has been not addressed within the report card, it is because there isn't enough information yet to report out on it. What you see in front of you represents the standards and skills for the entire year. So you will see a number of blanks because they'll be reported out in the second term. The term 1 and T1 that you see here is required by MIDAS because there has to be reporting periods, but in reality what you're seeing on the screen represents the standards being addressed throughout the course of the entire year. So you're going to see a number of them that are not going to be addressed for that reason. If you look at the performance and skills indicators for specialists, get there. They've gone back and they have rebuilt their rubrics to address specific information as it applies to their classrooms. And that means that they're all unique in their scales. And again, they'll be using the pro-social skills rubric to address that. Teachers still have the option of including narrative comments. One of the things that you'll notice in the new report cards is that the narratives are likely to be considerably shorter because the information that's being provided through the standards-based report card is significantly greater. There's a lot more detail that previously had to be addressed through the narrative, but now can be addressed through the regular report card. Attendance summary will be on the bottom with where you're at in terms of your students' attendance. So that's a basic view of what the report card looks like. There obviously will be slightly different by grade in terms of what's being reported on and the length of the report card. I want to extend a thank you to the staff who has worked about a year and a half on building the report card, adjusting the standards. They're continually working to update the assessments that they're using in order to accumulate data to provide these report cards. Also to the technology department who has really worked hard to make this work for us. And a special thank you to Mr. Montgomery, who has worked tirelessly on adjusting and changing and updating and working with MIDAS to finalize the report card build. And also a special thanks to parents for your patience as we've worked through this process. It's been challenging at times, but very rewarding, and we hope that you enjoy the new report card, that it's helpful for you in understanding where your child is at, both in academic progress and also in social skills. And certainly if you have any questions, feel free to reach out and ask us. We'll also be sending out a parent feedback survey shortly after the release of report cards so that we can get some information from you guys about how we can improve it in terms of presentation or content. So thank you, and report cards will be out on Wednesday, and hope you have a good day.